I almost didn't even see your message. I don't even, I really don't look at those messages. Trust me, no one's trying to slide my DMs. No one's trying to get my DMs at all. And so I never looked at them.
Patience, I feel like I was so confused when a lot of people would tell me like be patient, but I remember hearing someone else talk about like patience is for losers in terms of you shouldn't be patient with actions, patient for the results, right? If you tell a lot of
Correct.
people like be patient, like nothing's gonna happen till you're 30, then they would like just stop doing anything, and they should be like I should be patient, right? But you need to be very impulsive with your actions and very efficient, but be patient with the results. That's the patience you're talking about, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like going to the gym. Like the patience in going through a physical transformation by working out and working on your fitness goals.
Yeah.
The patience is in the result.
Yeah.
But you can't wait to make the action. So exactly what you just said was perfect. I've been more active with following Charlie recently, Charlie Jabley, Charlie Rocket recently.
Yeah.
And I'm a member of the RIT Accelerator with Andy Frisella and Ed Milet.
What's that about?
So Ed Milet has his own podcast. It's called the Ed Milet Show, Max Out.
Yeah.
And then Andy Frisella has his podcast called the MF CEO Project.
I see.
And basically they started a group of entrepreneurs and people that want to make a difference, that want to continue to learn and grow personally and professionally.
Mm.
And they opened it up I think it's about a year ago. I think it was last June, maybe last June or July. They opened it up, and we got about 600 members in the accelerator. And we have a couple calls a month where we go through just different skill building, just different. They have classes. They do like Ed or Andy will do a class about once a month or so on different areas of entrepreneurism and what they recommend you do.
I see. How's that been going for you? Like, do you enjoy it?
I do. It's been great. Not only are you learning from two of the best in the business, but you're getting to interact with like-minded people across the world. I think I've made a handful of friends just from interacting within our Facebook group and exchanged a lot of numbers. We had our first live event at the end of April, so we all kind of hopped on a flight and ended up in St. Louis for a couple days. Got a chance to shake some hands and get some hugs from some people that you see grinding and killing it on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. So it's been great. It's really helped me out a lot. It's helped me with my business. It's helped me personally. It's been phenomenal.
What's your business about?
I'm in sales. I work with companies in the United States that self-fund their healthcare.
I see.
So instead of buying insurance through big insurance companies, they can self-fund their healthcare, and then I have the ability to sell an insurance product that keeps groups from catastrophic losses on top of their self-funded reserve. So my role is completely sales. I'm 100% commissionable, so that means I have to sell in order to eat, and I enjoy it. I cover a big space here in the Midwest part of the United States. I moved here about 3 years ago from New York. I didn't know a single person when I moved out here, so it was a pretty significant challenge for me personally.
Where are you currently?
I'm in the Midwest, the United States, Ohio.
Are you liking Ohio from New York since you shifted?
It's different. It's different. I think it has its pros and cons. I'm starting to get used to the area a little bit. I think personally, it's a little harder to make friends when you get older. I think when you're younger, it's a lot easier to make friends, and you're kind of meeting people and all that are kind of in your same walk of life. But when you uproot and move and become a transplant to a big city, it's a bit of a challenge. So I think professionally, it's been fantastic. I think personally, I have a little bit of work to do.
So what got you started into like consuming Charlie and people like these? Like, was it something that you were facing in business, in personal life?
I think it started personally. To be honest with you, I think what I learned is that I'm at my best. I'm the most happiest when I'm growing, and I think if I reflect on the times in my life where I've had the most challenges personally, whether that be with motivation or finding inspiration or just continuing on the day-to-day grind.
Yeah.
It's when I'm not growing. It's when I'm not learning. It's when I'm not consuming new ideas and new thoughts. And so with the Arte Accelerator, it's just constant new ideas, constant challenges, constant communication with ideas of how you can become better personally and obviously with your business. I think it all relates. And then with Charlie, I was introduced to him through both of those podcasts. So Charlie was on Andy's podcast,
Yeah.
the MF CEO, and then he was also on the Ed Milet show. And then I've kind of just followed him from there, and I just really appreciate his authenticity.
Yeah.
I think he's got a hell of a story, and he's overcome some major adversity.
Yeah.
And I think he hasn't lost himself in that. I think he's found more of himself in his journey.
Mm-hmm.
And by sharing that and being vulnerable and authentic, I think it just makes him more relatable.
Yeah.
And him and I have a few things in common. I really appreciate a lot of the things he shares. So I'm excited. I reached out to them and I asked if I could apply for his quantum event that's in June, and they selected me as one of the 25 last week.
How cool. So he said that he was going to have a conversation before he selects people. So how did that conversation go with you?
It was good. I mostly spoke with Wes, his manager, and they do a good job of qualifying you. You know, they really want to make sure that they have solid people who are open-minded and want to come in and not only just take. Like, you're obviously at an experience like that, you're going to learn so much. You're going to take so much away.
Yeah.
But they're really looking for people that are going to bring something as well. Not only contribute towards, Charlie, but also contribute towards the experience with everyone else. So they did a great job of asking me questions about myself and asking me questions about what I thought of the experience and what I think would be what my ultimate takeaways would be, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think they're onto something. I'm looking forward to seeing who the other 24 people that are going to be there are. I'm looking forward to meeting them and working with them, and obviously looking forward to getting a big hug from Charlie and seeing what's up.
I see. So Charlie talks a lot about the quantum experience being very close to like law of attraction. Like writing your dreams down, writing your goals down, and then kind of manifesting them. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's powerful. I don't know as much about it as he does. I think I've dabbled. I've read a couple books. I just downloaded a book called Down the Rabbit Hole that I need to jump into at some point, probably before the event. I'd like to be prepared for it. But I believe in it. There's been things in which I've manifested. I believe I'm a big believer in writing down your goals. I think having a goal in your head is one thing, but then to write it down and to visualize it, to see it.
Yeah.
A lot of the major goals that I had for last year, I created a vision board for, and what I would do is I would sit and I would meditate for a period of time, and then after that I would focus on those pictures, and I would close my eyes, and I would actually visualize it occurring. I'd visualize what it looked like to get there, what it looked like, felt like, tasted like, smelled like, and a lot of it came to fruition.
Did you initially
absolutely
believe in your goals? Like, once you set these big goals, the law of attraction is so much about actually believing in it. You just can't write stuff down and then at the back of your mind think that that's never going to happen. So how much of were you able to overcome believing from disbelieving?
I think it's a lot more self-belief, if anything. It's a lot more of managing your self-limitations, your self-believing limitations that you put on yourself. I had a pretty aggressive new business sales goal that was assigned to me last year, and for my personal goal, my company assigned me X, and then I assigned myself Y. I actually assigned myself more than double what my company did, and a lot of people would think that that's crazy. But what I did was I replicated the report that comes out every month from my company internally, and I put all the information in it just to make it look exactly like it, and I put myself at the top of it, and I put my name, and then I put what my goal was, and that was a part of my visualization process, was that at the end of the year I was going to get that report, and it was going to say that number.
Did it
happen? So I believed it. It did, yeah, it did happen, yeah.
That is so cool. So did you tell yourself repeatedly, I want to know what was the process like since the time you thought of the goal versus you actually achieving it?
Well, I think that for me personally, and this is something that I discussed with someone yesterday, was that for me, my goals need to have more than, there needs to be some substance to it. There needs to be a strong why associated to it. It can't, like a goal, again, one, I think it's a lot more important if it's written down. And then two, I have to tie something to it. I have to create a feeling to it. I have to tie an emotion to it. And so for me, when I look at a goal such as a new business sales goal like I did, I mean, to me, it wasn't just a number. To me, it was financial freedom, and the financial freedom turns into time flexibility, time freedoms. It turns into, having no debt. It turns into being able to go wherever I want, whenever I want. I mean, but taking all those things and then putting it into that goal so that I know if I reach that goal, that's how I'm going to feel. I think that's what gets you to the next level of pursuing that goal.
Like attaching a strong purpose to your goals, which is
Sure.
like bigger than yourself. Yep. Say their goals to themselves again and again, like affirmations, or like looking at themselves in the mirror. So what was your process like practically? Were you doing something every day, or did you like just write your goal and forget about it?
No, what I did is, that's a good question. So practically, all I did was, back here I have some dry erase boards.
Yeah.
And what I would do was, I would write down the month. So, if I use October rings a bell for me specifically, but I would write out October, and then I would write out, 6 specific things that I would need to do in October that aligned with those goals that I had. So next to those 6 things, I had my goals. I had what my goals were that I wanted to accomplish by the end of the year. And so what I had to do daily tied into each one of those goals. So I said to myself, if I do this every day, this is going to happen. And so what I would do is I would sit, I would meditate, I would visualize, I would look at, my daily goals. I'd look at what I wanted to accomplish by the end of the year, and I would keep a tally. So every time I did the first task, I'd put a little check next to it. And then I made sure that I had October, I did 31 in a row. And then after that point, I kind of reconsider what I was doing, and if something at that point almost became automatic for me, I would remove it, and I would put something else on there. I think it's a lot of that I've gotten from the MFCEO Project podcast. Andy talks about his power list, and I think that's, like, I've adopted that power list philosophy, and I just, instead of using it in a notebook like he talks about, I use the dry erase boards.
I love like that. This new shift coming in, like goals, like something that feels so far away. Once you write it down and you start like over time, you actually start believing that you'll achieve it. I don't know if you've read the book, Law of Attraction.
I believe I have, yeah.
Right? That is so similar to what it talks about, like making a vision board for yourself and attracting things. But all of that is also kind of needs to be backed up with daily work, like action. You just can't write, like, I would be sitting on a yacht like 2 years from now, but then, like be on your couch and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, if that's just a dream, a daydream, more or less. If you just say to yourself, yeah, I want to be on a yacht, and then you don't do anything to back that up, or you don't tie, like I said, I think the value is tying the emotion into it. I think people are motivated by pain or pleasure, and it's either one or the other. Yeah. And if you can associate a pain towards a goal, if you say, if I don't accomplish this, what pain am I going to realize? Yeah. That'll get you to move. Or if you say, what pleasure are you going to realize from achieving this goal? I think that's enough to get you going too. But you really need to, not only do you need to set up those guardrails, I believe, but the daily steps, the small things that you need to do every single day in order to get there. That's the work that not everybody wants to do, unfortunately.
Yeah. So what was it for you? What was the driving force for you? Was it pain or was it pleasure?
Oh man, I think I lean towards pain. I think fear and doubt. I think that motivates me more. For me, for myself, one of my, I don't want to call it, I don't know if it's a flaw, but one of the challenges that I face is that once I achieve these goals, even no matter how big they are, big or small, I don't really stop and celebrate them. I don't really know how. Like, I'm just not programmed to do that. So what'll happen is I'll achieve these goals, and it'll be like, that was fantastic. Now what? Like, then I'm ready to go for like what the next thing is, and then I'm sitting there trying to figure out what the next goal is. Yeah. So the pleasure doesn't really last that long for me. So I think I realized that, and so I kind of dance on the dark side. I dance with the pain a lot more than the pleasure, and that works for me most of the time.
But then I feel like then that means you enjoy the journey, which is such a significant process.
Yeah,
You're not like living for the end moments.
yeah. The journey is important. I think, I'm 37 years old now. I think the older I get, the more I learn that patience is probably one of the most important skills or qualities that someone can gain. The older I get, the more I learn it's much more important.
So, what's your story? Like, what got you started into the whole world of like learning and like self development and stuff?
Oh boy, I don't know. I think I've always been interested in it. I think it's always intrigued me. I think what I just found was when after I had graduated from college, I kind of hit this spot in which I was excited about starting my career. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted a job, and so I started working, and really quickly I started to implement new processes and ideas, and moved up relatively quickly through the company. And then you would kind of hit this plateau, and then I think once I hit my plateaus in any part of my life, whatever it be, physical, in my fitness, or my career, or personally, wherever I hit a plateau, I kind of stop and I look like what can I do to get through that plateau? What can I do to get to that next level? And so I would actively search out what more I could learn. What could I learn to be better at this, or what more could I don't know everything. There's always something that I can be better at, or something I can learn more of. And I think I just kind of always sought it out. And just like we talked about the law of attraction and quantum, I think if Wes sent me a message the other day, said what you're looking for is looking for you, and I couldn't agree with that anymore. I think it's out there. I just understood that at a relatively young age that I'm at my worst when I'm stale. I'm at my worst on that plateau. I'm not my best version of myself when I'm plateauing. So I need to keep finding the opportunities to grow. I need to keep finding learning moments. I need to keep finding challenges. It just is how I'm programmed now.
So, what you find is looking for you as well. Like, what do you think that you are finding now? Like, what is your goal or ambition that you are trying to reach?
That's a great question. So right now, I'm actually in a process of brainstorming my goals for the remainder of the year. As I mentioned, I had 5 or 6 major goals for last year that I had accomplished. So I kind of took my foot off the gas pedal a little bit for the beginning of the year, and now I'm kind of looking around trying to figure out what's next. Obviously with my career, obviously in sales, there's some metrics that I got to meet as far as new business and as far as managing my block of business that I manage currently. But also, I'm working on some fitness goals right now. I'm considering running a marathon of some sort in the near future. Personally, I'm debating on where I want to be. I don't really imagine myself in the Midwest for my entire life, so I have to evaluate where I'd like to be in the near future. But it's all good things. I think I really like the process of trying to figure it all out, because it allows you to be almost like a kid again. You get to kind of be creative and sit back and be open-minded about what you like.
Yeah. So you're into sales. Like, have you always wanted to be in sales, or did you have like other plans?
I don't know. I think when I was younger, sales terrified me, because if you don't do well, if you don't produce, if you're unable to sell, you're not going to make any money. Right? If you don't make any money, then how are you going to eat?
Yeah.
So I think there was always a fear there, but I've been in the business that I am in currently in my entire career, and I started off on the operations side, and so from the operations side, I got to see how the business was run, and I worked with a lot of salespeople, and I saw how I saw how successful salespeople acted, and then I saw how people that weren't so successful, like what their habits were, and I got to a point in probably in like 2010. Maybe 2009, that I decided that I felt comfortable, that I thought that I could take a chance on myself, that if I was going to bet on anybody, it'd be myself. And I took the leap, and it's worked out. I think I think no matter what you do in your career or your life, everybody should have some sort of sales experience. I think no matter what we do, we're always selling. I mean,
Yeah.
when you reached out to me
Yeah.
and you're like, hey, would you be interested in doing this? Like, oh, more or less, like you kind of had to sell me on it. And then
Yeah, absolutely.
now me discussing with you, like I have more or less have to sell you on my
Yeah.
my experiences and everything that I've gone through. So I think even teachers in schools, they're selling to kids, they're selling to parents, they're selling to administration.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a skill that's important to have, and I know it's can be terrifying, but I'd recommend that everybody try it in some form, way, shape, or form at some point in their life.
So, was there any like book or specific thing that helped you become a better salesperson, or was it like just experience in your company?
I don't think it was a book. I think it was all books help. I mean, I do enjoy reading, and I do enjoy kind of taking nuggets here and there from books. But I think the value in sales is the experience. It's being told. It's understanding the power of being told no 100 times.
Yeah.
And then how much you really appreciate that yes. Like the closing ratio in my business is around 4%. So that means for every 100 opportunities, I'm only selling 4 of them.
Yeah.
So that really helps you appreciate the 4. So
Yeah.
you really have to work your butt off to make sure you find more qualified opportunities. And it's just an experience. It's all about experience. You learn about what doesn't work and you learn what works, and then you kind of you adapt it towards your habits and what you find works for you.
I see. So you're in sales, like you must be dealing with people a lot, right? Like because you're selling to them. Is there like something significant that you learned about people and about what is that thing that gets them to say yes, or what is that thing that triggers a no?
Well, I think that something that I learned early in my career and that we really hit home hard on in the Arte group is sales is more about helping people. If you can change your perspective from I'm selling this person, I need them to buy my product into I'm just going to try to help this person. The sales, the yeses come with that. What I've done in my career is I've positioned myself as a resource, and I've positioned myself as someone who wants to help my customers. I don't pound on their door and sit there and yell buy and make them buy my product. Yeah. What I do is I get to know them. I find out what their needs are, and then we just talk. We just talk about the challenges they face, and because I've been in the industry for so long, I talk to many different people, and I have input on not only my area of expertise, but I have ideas in other areas. And so we just talk shop, and I share those ideas, and I try to help them out. And by doing that, you're getting a level of credibility there and a level of trust. And so that when there is a true opportunity, when they really do need to buy your product, they come to you as the expert. They come to you as the trusted expert, and the layers of all the pre-sale and qualifying that you had to do before is gone. Now it's just become you're helping out. You're helping out a friend, and a friend's helping out you.
So how do you get to the point where you're able to like kind of develop trust and kind of build a relationship with your customers? Because if I assume like you don't know them from previously, right?
Yeah, that's it. I probably touch back on what I just said. I think it's all about getting to know them. I think it's active listening. It's asking them questions that are relative to what they need, trying to understand what they're trying to accomplish, what their goals are, and then just listening and just taking it all in, and then helping them. Just say, listen, hey, I really appreciate this conversation. I understand that we may not do business here at this point, but I'm going to keep my ears open and my eyes open, and if I hear anything about these specific challenges that you're facing that may not even have to do with our business, I'll be in touch. And just being a friend, like one of the things about being new to this area, when I moved here a couple years ago, I just wanted to meet people. So a lot of the places I went into, I just walked in there and was like, hey, I'm new here. How's it going? Where would you guys recommend that I go eat? Where would you guys recommend that I go, to do this or do that? And I developed a lot of friendships just from doing that. And just I think people just appreciate authenticity and genuineness. And I was genuine in that. I might personally, I did want to just make friends.
Yeah.
And I really did believe that by making friends that the business would follow, and I think it's worked out for me.
That's amazing because right now for my podcast, I feel like it's more of like me trying to network with people and finding what I'm good at and kind of like I don't have a thing yet, like a talent or whatever per se. So I haven't figured out how to I guess turn that into a monetary value. So I'm a heavy consumer of Gary, and he says that irrespective of you know what you want to do, if you don't, just start documenting your process. So I was just documenting my process, and therefore I started with the podcast, which is like networking with like-minded people. But now I'm also trying to reach to like some people I would want to work for free. And the whole thing is like Gary said that instead of like cold emailing them, like call them on a podcast and kind of build a relationship with them. But I get like so many no's. Like after 20 DMs, I get like 20 no's, and then like one person says yes, right? And then we do the whole
Yeah.
thing. So it's been an interesting process. But I was just thinking, how do I reach? Like, would you have any advice on how I could reach to, like, how should I conduct a conversation in the DMs with like a certain people? Like, I just texted this CEO of and I called him on my podcast, and I was very excited to speak with him, but then it just didn't go through, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? So I was just wondering, like, because you're in sales, like, would you have some advice on like
Yeah.
how to deal with people?
Yeah, I think what you're doing is fundamentally at the at a baseline level. I think what you're doing is right. I think what you're doing is smart. I think you're acting right. So a lot of people wouldn't even get to this point. A lot of people wouldn't even start a podcast. So I think that's one, you're doing that. So good job, and keep doing that.
Thank
I think
you.
by doing that, you're going to be serving people. There are people all over the world
Yeah.
that have the same questions that you do,
Hmm.
and have the same questions that I do,
Yeah.
and that they would find value in a lot of the questions. You're asking great questions, and there's a lot of
Thank
value
you.
that people could take away from these. Yeah, and then you're reaching out, right? So you're reaching out to people, and you're trying. You're going to get told no. If you got told yes every single time,
Yeah.
what would you learn? You learn nothing,
No.
right? So
Yeah.
when you're told no, just stop and just think, like what could you have learned about that? Sometimes it just, especially when you're trying to just interact with people over social media, like some people just don't respond. Like your message, I almost didn't even see your message. I don't even, I really don't look at those messages. Trust me, no one's trying to slide my DMs. No one's trying to get my DMs at all. And so I never look at them. But no, I think it's just when you're told no, and when you're come across some adversity or a challenge like that, you just stop for a second, decompress, and just try to think, like, what more could you have done?
Hmm.
And then if you take that information, obviously keep track of that in some way, shape, or form, document,
Yeah.
and then look at what's worked. Like, if you look at the way that you approach someone that has come on your podcast and be like, okay, what do I think worked in that?
Hmm.
Then I think if you combine the two, I think you're going to see that your closing rate of having people join you is going to increase.
Yeah, I felt like for Instagram, basically, like I haven't done a very good job of really communicating who I am and what I'm about. So if he would have landed on my page, he wouldn't have really thought any of it because like all the podcasts and stuff is up on YouTube. So it's called like building
Yeah.
community. So it's not just like me trying to work with people and like find work, but it's so much about like actually building a community of like-minded people. And most of the people are like just I wouldn't say small, but like just kind of people who are starting out or who are like
Sure.
up and coming artists. And what we're doing is, for example, like I'm connecting with a lot of hip hop artists, and hip hop is known like in a negative way because of like drugs and all sorts of things, right? But now
Sure.
what we're doing is we do a collaboration post where you get to hear their music, but then the next post is a podcast where they talk about their life, like overcoming an obstacle, overcoming fear,
Sure.
or talking about what
That's
happiness
great.
means to them. So you get to know the person behind it. So you don't just see their business or their product or their service, but you get to know the person behind, like the human being behind the whole thing. So that's what you connect with.
Yeah, that's great.
Because all of us are so different. I don't know anyone. But then all of us just have like such a great conversation because irrespective of who we are, all of us are fundamentally going through the same things.
Sure.
So just kind of building on
And I
that.
think, and I think that what you're doing is you're building a community, you're building a network, and what's going to happen is you're going to keep connecting with people. that may not be at this level of fame or maybe at this level of success, but when you keep building up with people through here,
Yeah.
Those people are going to continue to grow.
Exactly.
And their networks are going to continue to grow.
Exactly.
And if you keep having these amazing interactions and these amazing conversations,
Yeah.
You're eventually going to be introduced to the right people
Yeah.
that are going to be able to get you to the next level. I believe that.
Yeah, that is actually like one of the biggest things. I'm like, if that's either like something needs to work, it's all about possibilities. Like either these guys are gonna say yes, or all this community I'm trying to build, one of them is going to hit. And what I'm trying to do is like
Sure.
build a very solid foundation by having a great conversation, like providing a lot of value exchange. So it's like we
Sure.
remember each other. So even if I like go out, I have all these people that I would want to help because they were like just good people, you know?
Yep. Absolutely.
So-
and that's it. So you asked me about the sales, right? So you
Yeah.
said, how do I find success in sales? And I just said, I'm not sitting there trying to sell them. I'm not trying to make the best widget. I'm not trying to have the best advertising or marketing. I'm just trying to help them.
Yeah.
And that's what you just said.
Yeah.
You said that you were trying to help people by having them on your show. All you're trying to do is help people. And I think
Yeah.
that's the way that it's going to expand for you. I think that's how it's going to grow. That's a good mindset.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. So,
Yeah,
one of the questions we ask everyone on the podcast is, are you happy?
Oh man, that's a good one. I think that I am content. Now, I don't even know if I'm content. It's tough because I'm so driven that I always want more. I always feel like I can do better. I always feel like that. I feel like that I haven't reached the highest level of what I can be doing in any aspect of my life, personally and professionally. There's just so much more room for improvement. So from that perspective, I don't think I'll ever be happy. But I am very blessed to be healthy. I have great family. I have great friends that care very much about me and are very proud of me. So all those things taken into consideration, I'm very proud of that and very happy with that.
Are you like excited? I don't know. I just always wonder like how many people are actually excited once they wake up in the morning. Do you think like would you be one of them?
I think it depends on the day, but for the most part, yeah, I think I am. I think especially having those goals, when you're locked in, like I've been locked in before, and you know what you want to do, and you're visualizing it every day, and you're smelling it, and you can close your eyes and touch it, and it's that real. These big, huge goals that you never thought were possible. Yeah, that'll get you out of bed real quick in the morning. But when it's absent of that, if you don't have anything that you're really shooting for, or you don't have anything to look forward to, just to keep it simple. I mean, I think that's when people start hitting the snooze button a little too much.
What do you think then happiness means for you? Like, doesn't it bother you that you feel like, because I'm the same, I feel like I would never be satisfied with anything I accomplish. I would always feel like there's so much more I can do. I haven't even like hit 5%. And that is where a lot of like unfulfilledness, I guess, or like not being content comes from. But don't you worry about then what does happiness mean for you? Like, do you ever think you'll hit that point?
I'm not sure. It doesn't bother me. I wouldn't lose sleep over that question. I think it means happiness means something to everybody, right? So if just say like you're a mother and your life revolves around your family and your kids, like happiness is probably just making sure you're taking care of everybody and that everyone's healthy and safe and happy, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, as a lifelong bachelor and moving all over the country for different sales jobs, and I'm actively growing, and like I'm at my happiest when I'm growing. So when I feel like I'm growing and I'm chasing goals, I'm happy. And I think people in different areas, like different times of their life, that'll change. If the day that I settle down and I start having a family and all those different things, which I'm not used to. I mean, if I have kids, and my priorities are going to shift, and my happiness is going to be more geared towards them and what they're doing. So I think it's relative to the person. I think people that are doing different things completely can all be happy in their own way. Their own way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think it bothers me. I think as long as I'm chasing my goals and as long as I'm growing, I'm getting up out of bed like that every morning.
That's amazing. Because I remember I ask this to everyone because I'm really trying to figure out what the answer means for me. And so many people just so casually say yes. And they're like, like the little things make them happy and things like that. And I was like, is it only me? Like, I'm an only person who can never get to a yes. My answer is always like a no and a yes. Like, yes, because, you're grateful for your
Yeah,
family and like you have roof over your head and you have food on the table. But there's a huge part of no because I feel I have so much to give and I'm not able to tap into it. So a lot of being unfulfilled, like kind of comes to the not being happy part. So, but your perspective is interesting. Like constantly being
yeah,
able to
and
challenge yourself.
I hear what you're saying too, and I think I wouldn't don't beat yourself up over that. I think there's a lot of people that feel that way, and I think with time and with you keep doing this, you're going to be interacting with hundreds, thousands of people, and you're gonna find your path. And then I think when you feel that spark, when you feel that intrigue that you've not felt before, I think you just chase that, and then I think happiness aligns with that. I think as long as you're chasing your dreams, I think it's a lot easier to be happy. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I actually studied about like goals and how to accomplish your goals, like how to like make the probability of your goals become greater was to attach your small personal goals, whether it was something very materialistic of like getting a car or it's just something like I want to get a great job, is you align your goals with the world's goals, something bigger than yourself. So like me
Sure.
getting a car, how is that gonna help anyone else? You know?
Yeah.
So it's like I want this car so I can inspire my friends that at a young age you can be financially successful and like if you work hard and work the right way or just things like that. And then oh kind of like you get the idea, but something like a job, right? So why should I be financially independent? Is so that I can help the community, I can contribute, I can be my best version, so I can serve people in the best ways. And the more specific you get on how you can help the world with you achieving your goals, I feel like your probability becomes greater and a lot of fulfillment comes from that, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's cool. When you buy your first car, that's cool. And then if you want a big house and you like all these shiny objects,
Yeah.
I don't think that there's fulfillment there. I just think
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
I think you're just satisfied for the moment. It's like having a good meal, right? It's like having a good dinner.
Yeah.
But then once you're done with dinner, I mean, you're gonna have to eat the next day. Most of us do, anyways. And
Yeah.
I think that's where I struggle with. I don't tie my goals into things like that. I do like watches. I did have a picture of a nice watch on my visualization board. But for a lot of the major things that I chase, I mean, it's something that has that feeling tied to it. Like I said, as long as you were just saying, like if you want to achieve this, so then that you can serve the greater good. It gives you the ability to then do this and help others.
Yeah.
I think that has so much more weight, has so much more power behind it than just an object or some sort of monetary
So
item.
I had a very interesting perspective on materialistic things. Why is it so important? Is because I love cars. So I always want like the best, the most expensive, the fast cars and stuff like that, right? But then that would be in the materialistic side. And my friend asked me, she's like, how is that gonna serve the world? But then I told her that so you have all these people, right, where you see people who have cars, mansions and stuff like that. They do carry a certain kind of influence. You have young people look up to them because they want that too, even though there might not be like long lasting fulfillment, but then they hold some kind of influence and power too. And most of the people, that is what they're chasing, is like money and stuff like that. So if you have it all materialistically and then you can serve the world and then you can spread out your message, it would hold so much more meaning. Like you can tell people that this Lamborghini means nothing to me. It doesn't fulfill me. That makes it so much more powerful than a person who can never afford a car telling me that a Lamborghini doesn't fulfill them. And like I said, you attach a bigger goal with your material. Like, the watch, it means something to you. That is why it's important. And you should have it by all means. But it's just a watch. But everything you did to get the watch is what makes it important. You having that goal of having that vision board sort of thing. all the work
Yep.
that you put in your sales, the profits got the watch. So you can let your friends know that, even though this seemed unrealistic at some point of time, this big expensive watch, now it's mine
Perfect. Yep.
because
Yeah.
I made my dreams come true. And even though it's
Yeah.
materialistic, it's still you, right? It's a part. You don't watch the watch
Sure.
to like show people and like flex on them, but you want the watch because it makes you happy and it really means
Yeah.
something to you, right? So I feel like it
Yeah.
has a positive side to it as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. That's fantastic perspective. And then also in the simplest form, like if you're working your butt off and you're doing well and you want a Lamborghini, buy a Lamborghini. You deserve it. You know, like I think that's the simplest form. Like as far as that watch goes to me, like the watch was hey, attaboy. Here's a pat on my butt that I did a good job, and here's the watch. I think we all deserve that.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't. You know, I don't think that just because we want the Lamborghini or we want the expensive watch, I don't think it makes us a bad person. I don't think it means that we're not looking out for the greater good. If you're working your butt off and you're grinding and you're making sacrifices all the time to get and to achieve your goals, and then you hit them, and you want to celebrate with something nice, do it. And that's me saying, I admitted earlier that I'm not good at doing that.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we need to do.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of happiness. That is why I was just concerned because you see people who have it all, them, taking their lives and them being depressed. And that really makes you want, because, like, for me right now, achieving a financial goal and stuff seems like it. But then I have to remind myself that there's so many people who already achieved it, but then they still don't feel fulfilled. All of us are at the end of the day looking for that feeling. Like I made it, or I'm happy, or I'm like, I achieved what I had to, or I've proven myself. It's not so, like, the materialistic objects or like the financial goals are like just covers of it, right? That is why I said, like, once you attach, I feel like a bigger goal, and once you're like providing for other people, that really comes back to you feeling good about yourself. Like I feel like the end goal that all of us are actually looking for.
Yeah. Well put. That's absolutely well put.
So now you're going in June for Charlie's event. Like, are you excited? Like, have you planned something up for that?
Yeah, I'm pumped up about it. I have to make my travel arrangements to get there, but that's not difficult. It's only a puddle jump from where I'm located. But I'm excited about it. I think they're doing a very good job of kind of sharing some information about what it's going to be like, but they really want to keep it. They're not trying to keep it secret, but they really want you to be surprised and excited when you get there. So I feel like they really are trying to make the most of the event, and I really feel like it's going to be amazing. I think just the open space that they're going to create for everybody and the ideas that they've already shared on the small level that they shared already seem amazing. Like it's just, I'm excited about it. I can't wait.
They haven't shared a lot of information with you.
There's been some. I mean, I know where I need to be. I know when I need to be there.
Yeah.
I know some of the things we're going to discuss. I know that we're going to talk a little bit about quantum physics and law of attraction. I know we're going to be talking about marketing. I know we're going to be talking about entrepreneurism and just business in general. And there's probably just going to be a lot of those amazing just side conversations, just life conversations. He keeps promoting how there's going to be a fire pit and just the chats at night, what that's going to be like. And I think it's going to be, I think the value in that is just building relationships, right? So I feel like I'm going to walk away from that meeting 25 to 30 amazing people, like-minded people. Yeah. And everything that we're going to learn and we're going to share together is going to be something I'm never going to forget. And I'd be willing to bet that we're all going to keep in touch for a very long time.
That's amazing. I would love to have you back on the podcast once you actually come back from that and share with us like, what you learned and stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to tell them. I'm going to say, hey, guys, not only did I get to come hang out with you guys and learn all this stuff, but I was on my first ever podcast, too, because of it. I was telling my friends, I was like, I think I'm going to be on a podcast. I don't even know how that happened. I was like, oh, because Charlie said I was going to be at the quantum event. I was like, what do I do? I don't even know what to do with my hair. I was like, I didn't know, but no, it's very much appreciated. I'm excited about everything, yeah.
I'm so glad you hopped on. I mean, it means the world. Everyone, I feel like, has been such a huge part of who I'm going to become and what I'm going to accomplish. And everyone's saying a yes because it was a very difficult yes. I had to go through all the no's, and rejection, like, just hurt so much. So every yes is, like, super, super meaningful. So at the end, like, what? Sorry?
I was gonna say, like I said before, if you were told yes every single time, you wouldn't appreciate the yeses. The no's help you appreciate the yeses even more.
Absolutely, absolutely. So at the end, like, would you like to share something with the world, or anything we can learn from you? Anything that you want to put out there that you would want to share?
I think I'm a big believer in those that can, should do. And there's a lot of people that have done amazing things for me in my life, whether that be a favor or a conversation or a piece of advice or a reference or anything. If I sat here and if I started drawing on this dry erase board and I drew a map to how I got here, if I took a timeline and I said, like, at this point in my life, this is where I was, and then this person, I met this person, and then this person did this, or told me about this, or recommended that I do this, and then I eventually got to this very point where I am. I mean, it's insane to think about that. The decisions, the choices that we get, that we're allowed every day to have just by being alive, and the power that we have in our lives of making these choices, and you'll never know where you're going to end up. I mean, it could have taken one no instead of yes, or one yes instead of no, and I'd have been somewhere completely different. You never know what's going to happen. So I think those that can should do. If you're in the ability to make your own choices, which I think we all are, and I know that some are more terrifying than others, some aren't as easy as others. Yeah. But I think if you follow your dreams and you work hard, you put the work in, and you understand that it's going to take time. You need to have patience, but you need to still do what you said. You still need to be active. You still need to act. Yeah. But you still need patience. That you're not going to make a ton of money in one night. You're not going to be in the best physical shape of your life in one night. I think, if you can help people out, help people out. If you can hop on a podcast and talk to someone, hop on a podcast and talk to someone. If you can make a small donation to a charity of some sort, do it. If you can become a big brother and big brothers, big sisters, do it. If you can take on a challenge at work that no one else wants to do it. I think there's so much opportunity and learning in saying yes. Sometimes even saying no. And a lot of people don't get a chance to experience those things and live life to the fullest because they're either too scared or they're too comfortable.
That's amazing. I truly believe that, So one of my goals is to move to LA in October, and you just told me that you moved to another city, but I'm so scared and so overwhelmed because I'm in a different country, and to go to a different country and meet all these new people and live there, it's just been very, very overwhelming for me. So I was thinking, like, would you want to give me some advice or anything you learned, like just going to a new place? What was it like?
Well, I think from a social perspective, you're going to be fine. I mean, you're very well spoken and you're very social. It doesn't seem like you're that shy or quiet. So I think that in itself is going to serve you well. Mm-hmm. But also, I would say just make sure you do your homework. Find out. Be precise on where you want to be. Don't, especially if you're going to make a leap like that, something that significant. If you're going to go that far somewhere, and then you're going to chase a big dream like that, be precise. Like, be exact. Like, know exactly where you want to be. Mm-hmm. Know exactly what you want to do when you're there. Know what kind of people you want to be around. Know what kind of people you want to meet. Yeah. Our time is the most valuable thing we have. It's not money. It's time. And so you don't want to waste your time living somewhere you don't want to live. You don't want to waste your time hanging out with people and talking to people you don't want to hang out and talk with. Yeah. So I would say just spell it out, like what, and then start practicing that visualization that we talked about. Think about that. Close your eyes and say, I'm living in LA, or I'm living in this suburb of LA, and this is what I'm going to be doing, and this is what it's going to look like, and this is the type of people that I'm going to be having, coffee or tea with, and this is what I want to be doing on my free time. Like, think about all those things. Write it down. Be precise. And I think when those moments do happen, because they will, if you practiced it properly, and they will happen, you're going to have a sense of ease because you've already done it in your head 100 times.
That makes it so much easier to think about. The thing is that I was confused because I'm back here in India and the culture is very different from in LA. But I have been studying it for a very, very long time. And through the podcast, I met so many people who are living there, so they were really able to educate me on how things are there. But like I told you, right? Like I don't have a thing yet. I haven't figured out what is it that I have to offer. So I couldn't figure out um, like what I'm basically going to do. My whole reason was for going there was I knew the industry I want to be in, like the business sides of social media and entertainment, is from there. And I wanted to be in the yes culture. Like I didn't want to be so caught up by fear. Like if I'm like so fearful and overwhelmed, I'm going to be like how fearful and overwhelmed I am like in the next 2 years as well. So I wanted to go ahead and make that leap, but I was just very scared of how things are going to play out and where am I going to live, and I don't know how it's gonna work out. I remember watching a live with Gary, and he was advising a guy as well. He's like, if you want to be an actor or whatever, like just go to LA, be in the yes culture instead of being in the
Yeah.
over analyzing every variable culture. So I don't know, just kind of figuring that out and how that's gonna happen.
And again, to go back on what we talked about earlier, is almost think about when you have that goal
Mm.
of going there, you have to tie. So then you have to make that emotional tie to it. You got to think about the pain and you got to think about the pleasure about that goal. And I think once you lock in on those and you start to feel it,
Mhm.
and you start visualizing it, and you feel what it's like to walk out your door and feel that sun and feel the energy and know that you're doing what you love every day,
Yeah.
I feel like the feeling, the pleasure is just going to propel you forward. And then the pain, the pain is all that's on you. But I almost perceive it to be like oh man, I really regret that I never took a chance on that. I really regret that I didn't do that. I wanted to move to LA, but I'm still home. I didn't take that chance. I wish I did one day.
Yeah.
Like that, to me, that's painful. So I think once you align, your pain and pleasure to your goal, and you do practice the visualization on that,
Mhm.
I think you're gonna know what you need to do.
I see. And just like the last question, I'm sorry, I'm just bombarding you, but so when you have your goals, right? Like you want to live here, you want to do this, or you want to do that, right? Like things cost money. So how do you get money into the picture of like visualization and stuff? Do you imagine that you already have what you need to be able to live there? Or do you think that I'll be able to, like, because it's really expensive to live there, right? Like the rent and groceries and internet and all sorts of things. So I always get caught up. Like, should I believe I already have everything? Or should I be practical and think about being able to manifest the budget I need to be able to, like, kind of live there?
That's a little bit out of my area of expertise, I believe. I think when I had my goals and I was working on my visualization practicing before, like I looked at that new business goal, like I knew what that meant. If I sold that much in new business, I knew how much that meant to me monetarily, personally. I knew how much money that meant to me.
Yeah.
And I already, I moved here for the job. I already had a job when I moved here, so that's a little bit different. I think what you need to understand or what you need to accept is that it's not going to be easy,
Mm-hmm.
and that there probably is going to be a level of practicality in which you need to understand that you're going to be grinding. There are going to be days when you're going to wonder, you're going to be there and you're going to be happy you're there, and then you're going to go, man, it'd be so much easier if I was just home.
Yeah. I
But
think about it all the time.
but if your goal is, but if it means that much to you, if you really want to do that, you're going to find a way. And the things that you're going to learn when you're finding the way to do it is the most invaluable stuff you'll ever learn in your entire life. The ways you adapt, how creative you get to make money, to save money, to spend money, like those things, no one can teach you that stuff. Like you'll go and you'll grind, you'll try to find the job that you want, and just like in sales, you're going to be told no. You're going to be told no a bunch of times, then you're finally going to get a yes. I mean, you got to just understand that you're probably going to have to work some side jobs, especially if you want to live somewhere that's very expensive. It's just going to be a challenge. But as long as that you just understand, like, again, the patience. As long as you keep acting like you said, so amazingly, like you said to act.
Yeah.
But then if you have the patience to understand that it's not all going to happen immediately, I think it'll work out.
Have you ever reached to that point where you have no idea what you're going to do next? Like, whether it was financially that you were so broke, or in like just life where you were like, I'm scared of that point, and I feel like I'm going to reach it so quickly because here I'm back home, like my parents are well to do and stuff, There, I don't want them to support me because I'm going there for like my dreams. I don't want it to be a financial burden on them. I really worry about being in that place.
So I've had that experience. So when I first moved here, I would sit and stare at the city skyline and just wonder. I'm like, what the heck am I doing here? All of the time. I'd be like, is this going to work out? What happens if it doesn't work out? What does it look like when I have to move home with my tail between my legs? When I move back to New York, there was so much. Like I had that doubt every day for a while, and I just outworked it. I just outworked it, and I think how I outworked it, I just made it sound a lot simpler than it was. Is that I hit a form of rock bottom. I had so much fear that I started to have anxiety attacks. I started to have panic attacks, and I started to really be worried about what I was doing here, and I forgot about why I came here. I forgot about my goals. I forgot about it because I got caught up in these self-limiting beliefs, and that what if I couldn't do it? What if, instead of just doing it? And what I did is I got to a level of like basically desperation, and I had never gotten to that point. I've never felt that type of fear before.
Yeah.
Like what if I don't reach my goals? What if I owe the company money next year? That's terrifies me. And so the next day, I hardly slept that night. The next day I just acted. I went boom. I was on fire. I was reaching out to everybody. I was calling everybody. I was multiple times. I was making sure I was setting up all these appointments. And I got in the car and I just drove up and down my territory for months. And that action was the basis of the network and the success that I've had. And if I didn't, if I showed up and I just started having success, I would have never learned all that. But because of that fear and because of the doubt that I had, and then hitting that level of desperation, I got so much more from it. I learned so much more from that experience that I had than I ever would have. So I think it sounds terrifying, but I'm telling you that if you're a person who chases goals, you have big dreams, and you want to face those, you're gonna hit rock bottom. And I know it sounds terrifying, but I'm telling you, it's gonna happen, and you're gonna learn the most you've ever learned in your entire life when you do.
I'm very scared of that. But I feel like that's why I wanted to have the conversation, that when people actually hit it, it's not that bad. Like what? You can't go any further. You gotta get up from there.
Yeah. Yeah. It can always be worse. Absolutely could be worse. I just think, but when you're, like you said, like-minded people, we have these big dreams and we have these big goals we're chasing, and when we get stuck, it's not comfortable, and then for most of us that are like that, that's terrifying.
Do you have anyone around you who helped you when you were at that rock bottom, or was it like just all alone? You had to fuel yourself to get back up.
I'm sure there were many people that did something in some small way, shape, or form along the way. I'm very private, especially at that point in my life. I was very private. I didn't really reach out to people and say, "Hey, I'm struggling with this."
Yeah.
Just because I'm a guy, right? I'm a guy's guy. Like I don't want to be super vulnerable. I don't want people to know that that I have problems sometimes, right? So,
yeah.
But I think all I did was I remember that shortly after that I went on a trip with a couple of my guy friends, a really good guy friend of mine. His name is Gus, and we went on a trip together. And he was on fire. Like he had just accomplished a bunch of different amazing goals, and I just saw him, and I could just almost feel that energy coming off of him, and I just we didn't talk about it. It was a quick hey, it's just like how guys talk. It's like, hey man, how are you? Good. How are you? Good. And that's it. For the most part, that's it. And so he checked in, and I just said, yeah, things are good. I'm just working on it, just grinding. We'll see what happens, type of deal. And then I think that that turned on a light for me that I needed to really get things going. And by the time I got back, I remember I was on fire, and it was just every day it was act. Like you said, I think that's probably the most valuable thing from this conversation is you saying that. Like I couldn't tell anyone how important that is. One of the things one of my sort of affirmations that I say or I do when I kind of get unsure is I say act and let everyone else react. act, let everyone else react.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's worked out for me for sure.
I feel like most of the people are in the receiving end, reacting and consuming end. And the only very few I studied about like the one percenters. The one percenters are people who earn above 500,000, and that's just 1% of the population. So I studied about what is the difference between the 1% and the 99%. Is they just don't do what the majority of people do. Something like they're just like us, they're just like everyone else, right? Something like insecurity. They are insecure as well. But what 99%
Sure.
of people do is they let the insecurity consume them and they just dwell in it and like just let that sink in. But people in the 1%, irrespective of the insecurity, they act. And over time, that insecurity like fades away. You know, like being on camera was a big thing for me. I wanted to create content for a year, but I never did it. I was so much in my head, like I look stupid, I don't have anything to say, and just things like that. But when I studied about the one percenters, I was like, that is what the majority of people say that as well. Like everyone wants to be rich, everyone wants to be thin, but no one's willing to put in the work. So how am I going to differentiate my actions that are going to play out in the long run and get me the results that most people can't have, because I did the things most people can't. So I absolutely feel that to act and be like catch that momentum and keep on doing things instead of like receiving and like being consumed by things. I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, and to know that and to be aware of that is gold. Is gold, and it's a lot easier said than done. Just like what we're talking about, but to be aware of that and to be able to act in moments of doubt, in the moments of which you're talking yourself out of, and you have a million different reasons why you shouldn't do it, but then to still do it, that's gold right there.
It is. It is one of the most liberating feelings ever, because I felt like if I'm going to let the most smallest thing make me go back, and it was what Gary does is that he help. But I am such a heavy consumer. He just digs deep down. He's like, all right, you're so insecure. Why are you so insecure? It's because you care if other people. You care about what other people think about you, and just things like that. And I was like, am I actually going to live my life thinking about what other people will think of me when they're not even thinking of me, because everyone has their own lives to think about, you know? So.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that we're so much on the same page, and we had an incredible conversation today. And I really hope, like, whatever your goals are, and I really do hope you get that watch. That watch now means so much to me. You're such a great person, right? You having that watch, even though someone's only attracted to materialistic things, they would gravitate towards you. And you will help them, I feel like, see the bigger picture behind that watch. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. We'll see. We'll see. It's not off the table. It's on the table, but maybe at one point.
You will have some belief in yourself. Of course you will.
Oh, I do. No, absolutely. I could buy the watch right now if I wanted to. That's for sure. What I've done is, like, there's a couple other things that I wanted to do, and I was like, oh, wow, I could do this, and this for the same price as that watch. And I was just like, all right, well, I like the thought of doing all those other things, and I kind of like the watch I have on right now. So it's not, it's almost become a question of, like, I look back and I'm like, why? I'm like, now why did I want it? Was it really a goal of mine to have that watch if I have the ability to have it right now and I'm not going to get it? So it's just one of the things. But no, I appreciate that. That's very kind of you to say. I worked very, very hard, and trust me, a lot of those goals, a lot of the things that I want to do, I've done them, I'm doing them, and I feel very blessed to be able to do that.
That's amazing. I can't wait for you to, like, attend the experience and have a great time there. I'm sure you're going to be so valuable to so many people and just share your story and everything. And definitely I would want to catch you back, like, just have a conversation just to tell me how was it like, what was the experience, or if there was, like, something in particular that you picked up on. I love that.
Yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. I'll shoot you a message while I'm there for sure. I'm sure we'll have time. Maybe we can even do a video while I'm there.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I don't know if I'm allowed to, or I really don't know what to expect, but
no pressure.
I promise you that we'll have another conversation for sure, whether either there or afterwards, I promise.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It was amazing speaking with you.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. It was nice to meet you.
All right, man. Have a great day ahead. See you.
I'll see you.
Mr. T Gold on my body, 6 chains. Niggas tryna copy skirt, switch lanes. Bad bitch with me, she don't know you a lame. You ain't getting money, boy, that's just loose change, hey. Boy, that's just loose change, hey. Boy, that's just loose change, hey. Boy, that's just loose change, hey.